Hey everybody, and welcome back to Jaraci Cup 5. Gonna start with the first semi-final, which is a bit funny because one of the quarters hasn't even been played yet, but this was played earlier today between A-Game and myself. Gonna be GVK, which is pretty fun. I was thinking a lot during the pick bans about what we wanted to do here. Let me just get that document open. Oh yeah, man, I waste no time. I picked Galzian first, but I kind of thought about picking Soban, actually. But I chose not to. Ended up just going for Galzian instead, and A-Game was thinking about it too for quite a long time after that. He chose to pick Conf instead of Soban, which would have been what I expected. I was kind of assuming that we were going to play... a CVS, you know, or GVS, sorry. But instead he goes for sort of the semi-mirror matchup, if you will. He's going to be Conf here, which he has also had quite a lot of practice with. He bans tight end passage because he hates that map. I ban the shallows because I hate that map. So we get those two out of the way. You got the tryhard A-Game in these games. Well, you got the tryhard Bozo too. Then again, though, what do we know about tryhard Bozo and tryhard A-Game? One of them throws and the other one doesn't. So, always a little bit nervous for me when I play against the master. It's going to be the rail opener for A-Game right here. I don't think we've really seen much top-level GVG yet in this tournament, so I just kind of want to point out the two builds that are going on right here. In GVG, you can fight your opponent really early because of this forward PC positioning. And so, one player usually wants to go for rails, and sometimes the other player will match him, sometimes the other player will go for assault chips. That's kind of what I've assumed is sort of like the meta here, but you can get rail fab if you put 2 on RUs, and then you build, I think skim fab first, and then you put 2 salves and CUs, and then you go straight up to rail fab after spamming some skimmers. And for assault chip tech, you put 2 on RUs, you do quick drop halfway through, and then you get ace tech as fast as possible. So you do skim fab first, then salvagers. But actually, I think you hold off on any of the salves until assault chip fab has started. Make the Soban nuke one big targeting jammer. That would be pretty interesting, I'm not gonna lie. Assault chip tech is on the way for me here. I'm gonna just try to take this high ground position. This is pretty standard to see. The rail player generally has a better sand skimmer fight in the beginning. But I do have the high ground as he's up on the lead up on me here, so I do manage to get one skim for free. AS pops out, so we trade 2 for 1 here, and then the AS is there. But he manages to get out there, and actually I believe he trades 3 for 2. No, it's 2 for 2 it looks like. So that was an interesting little skim battle there, but no one really came out the conqueror yet. And A-Game gonna start production on assault rails already. That usually means that I'm not going to be able to pressure him, so you can see me already backing up. And I think it's because I saw with the numbers of skims that I knew that this was what he was doing. I wasn't really unaware of the possibilities, so I didn't really trust myself to fight against these ARs, so I just chose to back away. Keep a little bit of pressure with the AS, but move the PC back home. And now the question for me is going to be, when do I want to get ref mode? Because obviously I want to be stronger in economy than my opponent, but I also want to get fleet cap 45 for defense. I'm going to choose to go with 45 in this game here. And if you're not aware with that nuance, when you're teching ref mode, obviously you can't tech fleet cap. So if you get attacked by your opponent and you need to build more units, but you have refiner mode teching, like what do? Do you cancel it? It feels terrible, so... definitely a little bit of strategy involved in that as well. Stream dead? Oh no. Yikers. It'll probably be back up in a moment. That's okay though, Assault Chips trying to ward off these skimmers, manages to kill one of them survives with just a sliver of HP. But you can see I'm not really able to pressure my opponent here at all. Question is, who gets to ref mode first? I could really quick drop for it already. This is a bit lazy for me, I've got to say. Okay, so pretty equivalent timings. They're about like 2 seconds off. I'm going to try to jug the stream here because we do have a little bit of downtime. Looks like A-Game wanting to push up on these high ground AS. And I feel like he can. I mean, he's got 3 of these dudes, so I'm just going to back away here for now. Oh, I think the stream is alive again, which is nice. Ah, that is good. These ARs, I felt, got a little bit too close, so I wanted to see if maybe I could chip him down here. But this is probably a mistake, because obviously AR is very high alpha damage, so Although he wasted some shots on the skim there that nearly got this AR killed, but I'm not going to be able to capitalize on it, so a couple of units are going to go down for me. Which is sort of the inverse of what you expect to happen, because normally assault ships have a very, very good poke potential. That's sort of what's good about them. But I'm having some trouble, getting any, you know, any real map presence out of these guys here. Also, I was a bit surprised to find that this thing wasn't a line of sight blocker. I probably should have just known that. I mean, how long have I been playing on this game? Firebase Curl used to be my favorite map, and I don't even know that, but... Oh, no. Oh, Internet. Why do you have to be so American? Well, it's okay. I publish these to YouTube, so you'll be able to watch it at some point anyway. Buffer ammo. Armored unit defenses 2 coming out now. And Siege Cruiser Fab starting, or not starting, it's finishing actually for me. This is actually a bit of an interesting nuance because obviously you know when AS comes out, the Assault Rail player has really got to be careful because he might die to air if he's not really careful on the, if he's not really careful on sort of the back end, you know what I mean? He could just get destroyed by air. So he's got missile ships ready to... He's got missile ships ready to go. But it's actually not going to be air. And I felt kind of clever about this. I can get siege tech really, really fast that way. And of course, this is unscoutable too. He came and he tried to check for the carrier tech, but he wasn't able to see Interceptor Fab because it's not there. That doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't exist though, so A-Game still has to worry about the potential of... he still has to worry about the potential of air tech here. Although one thing that I've got to say is a bit of a mistake for me. I had the idea in my mind, like, I could make this a bit of a 2-base play, but then halfway through I realized that wouldn't really do anything unless I brought the carrier in too. So I'm really slow here, and actually the fast siege tech didn't do too much for me. So what would have been better was to say, he has the threat of anti-air, so let's get up onto 3-base as fast as we can, and just sort of overwhelm him with numbers. So I can see what I was going for, but I don't think it really worked. Managed to just barely dodge that MS barrage and nearly killed this assault ship here. But he does get sniped by the AR. And I do actually agree with Shrike that these assault ships are looking pretty bad right now, but obviously, you know, later on in the series they're going to look pretty good, so... I agree with A-Game. I wouldn't say that too soon. I think I'm just kind of controlling pretty bad. But it is worth saying that Assault Rail is very, very strong in this matchup right now. They kind of have to be, though. Because the reason why this meta exists is because we discovered that even in earlier versions of the Jaraci patch, GVG was kind of a solved game if we had thought about it a bit more. You just really need to make assault ships and get up there and damage your opponent. There's not really much that he can do to stop you. Really good micro right there, man, just to get me to, like, change target priority. I didn't even notice that in the game. But if you look at the units lost tab, you can easily tell he's really doing very well with this attrition style. Siege barrage are going to be good here, though. I expect this to kill maybe one of them. Oh, boy. It doesn't actually kill any of them. Yikes. Yeah, he does have rail armor, too, so... That definitely is helping him against the siege a little bit. Really helping him against the assault ships a lot. Galzian heal comes out. I really want to get control of this extraction zone. It looks like A-Game does kind of want to back off here. These are all very weak assault rails. So it's dangerous for both of us here, but I feel like A-Game is probably a bit wise to back away from this one. And here comes the carrier now. Like I said, I probably should have had this PC before I got the siege cruiser, but... It is going to be a 2-base play from here. The thing about 2-base plays, though, they're very strong, but if you mess them up, they're quite bad. And I feel like I messed this one up. I'm just going to be behind an eco, that means less units in general. If his carrier is getting unlocked before mine hits his side of the field, I've kind of messed up the 2-base play. That's sort of my thinking in this regard. Really good kind of siege missile actually manages to hit the assault ships there. Yeah, well, remember you mentioned, like, at the end of it, like, I felt like you had no units. This is probably the real reason. Well, yes, this is why I was mentioning I should have, oh, I think stream was dead when I said this. I should have gone for, the PC and then siege. And that threat of air is still valid against you, but... Because I had already committed into it, making, like, sort of a 2-base play before I had moved out across, or like before I had siege done, so It's kind of too late now to decide to go back to 3 base. Geez, Siege is really loud. Oh my gosh. Anyway. Does manage to force him off of that high ground there. I did get an artifact extraction too, so I'm feeling pretty good about this. My skimmer blob was able to fight his scouts there as well. But now A-Game's starting to mass up a bunch of skims. Bozo versus Bozo mind games. Yeah. I feel like you're not wrong about that either. And now I'm finally deciding to go back to 3 base, but this is a bit of an awkward call always, because at that point you're really pretty far behind. And I'm teching wide, because you can see Railfab coming out here. So, because I'm thinking I'm having trouble dealing with these ARs, but if I would just build more Siege and really push the issue here, maybe I actually have got a chance of pushing him off of his main. So this is definitely the wrong call. I feel like this is too campy. This is like safe. But safe in a bad way. Safe in a way that gets you killed. This is not the time for safe plays, you know what I'm saying? Rail's here going to encounter some AR as well. Probably 2 of them going to get sniped here. Maybe even more. Maybe even less? Yeah, 3. 4 die. Ah! That's quite bad. And this AR blob, like, what do I do about it? All of a sudden, A-Game is going to be able to use the maneuverability of this AR blob, which has Dart, by the way, and that's how he managed to secure those kills, to pull this Siege all across the map. Where do I want to commit this? Because it has to kill the Assault Rails, but what do I do about this? Yeah, I agree, A-Game. I should have been here with this carrier already. This was kind of a bad call to go back onto the 3 base. Golly, stream. Get good. At least this didn't happen during OrbNet versus A-Game, which I think would have been a bit more of a shame. Skin's starting to push in here, and now suddenly I'm really worried about his skimmer blob. And the reason why he's got so many more units again is because I did this 2 base play, and it didn't work for me. And these assault jets really gonna get kind of caught out here in the middle. All of a sudden, the units lost tab is looking really bad for me, and A-Game techs into bombers. He's going to start building them already. He's got 2 on the queue. Man, Siege is so loud. I feel like my eardrums are exploding when it starts firing. But those barrages are going to miss, and I believe I committed both of them there, which is quite bad as well. This barrage is going to land for pretty good money, though. But these ARs are just going to be able to heal up. Did I say Orb versus A-Game? That's pretty funny. You know what I meant. Silver lining to this cloud, though, I do have Power 3 on the way, and ARs, of course, not terribly good about killing carriers, although they can do it. Would you? What the heck? Yeah, well, the reason Siege is struggling against AR is because they're actually not the most expensive unit, and they're quite maneuverable, so they can get out of the way. Whereas normally, you know, Siege is quite good against heavy rails because it's very expensive. If you take losses, you really feel them. And they're not very maneuverable, so easy for Siege to catch them out. I believe ARs are 90 speed and heavy rails are like 57? Yeah, boy. So, you know, there's a difference in like 23 speed between these 2 units. And here we're gearing up for a bit of a climactic fight. Of course, unbeknownst to me, A-Game has got 5 bombers, and I go for interceptor tech as well, but I don't know. Probably a bit too little too late, right? A-Game gonna start launching those bombers now, I assume. But this was really surprising to me. I didn't realize just how much damage he would do with these ARs, and my Siege is all off of Barrage, like the cooldown is not done yet. And these assault rails are just freaking killing me, so I'm powering everything I have into speed, just trying to get away here. Barrages are ready, so here they come on the AR blob, but I kind of missed anyway, although he just committed darts, that's a good time to be barraging. But air comes in too, and that's just going to be a dead carrier. And I was actually pretty surprised by that, because I wasn't thinking that assault rails are going to be able to kill a carrier like this, but that alpha damage means that they actually have surprisingly good damage against armor too. And he actually manages to take game 1 by killing a carrier with assault rails, but obviously, of course, what we can see in the background is there's 5 bombers in the air, so I mean, even if he didn't, you know, manage that, I'm pretty sure I would have died. One way or another. So that is going to be the game, and A-Game will take it. Oh, let me load in game 2 here before I get out of the replay section. By the way, stream seems to be better now, so I'd advise refreshing it if you're watching live, because often a bunch of stream delay comes when it lags like that, and it'll go away if you refresh. Which would be a good time to do, as I'm, of course, in the in-between screen here. But game 2 is going to be Torn Crater. This was AGame's pick. I picked Firebase Krill myself. Because again, I really like that map, but didn't do me any favors this time. Torn Crater, of course, definitely an assault ship map. But I knew that, and I felt pretty confident about my defense. And so I wasn't really worried about dying to the assault ships on this map in particular. Which is weird because it's Torn Crater, and normally you would be, but I was feeling it. I was feeling it. Also worth noting the rest of the picks, I don't think I ever talked about them. AGame picks Canyon Alt for the third map, which is a pretty interesting pick. Maybe you can give the reasoning for that if there was one, but I picked the Boneyard for game 4, and then AGame picks Kalash for game 5. I think you should have banned this map. I don't know. I don't know. My ban of the Shallows? Well, I really didn't want to play on Shallows. I felt actually pretty confident about all the other ones, except for maybe Kalash Teeth, which did get picked as the ace match, but I wasn't too concerned about Torn Crater. And sure enough, I think I do pretty well in this game. Of course, you can see me going for the Railgun opener right here. As for AGame, he's going for the Assault Ship opener, but he's actually a bit late. Huh. There we go, Assault Ship tech started, but this is actually very late for him, so that's not going to do him any favors. He does have extra economy because of that. And so maybe the idea is to do some kind of follow-up with that, but I don't know. This seems a little bit late to me. My build is really wrong in this way. Yes, I concur. I'll tell you what's wrong with the Shallows. It's a map where you're not going to get... You're not going to get very good... I don't know how to say, very big advantages during the mid-game, during fights. Like, generally, things are very slow, and it takes a long time to play it. And you know me, like, I like to throw. I feel like the Shallows just gives me more and more time to throw. It takes a very long time to finish, and one big mistake is way going to outweigh a lot of small mistakes on the Shallows. So, it's not a good map for me. I feel very unconfident on the Shallows. Sometimes I'll pick it in group stage, you know, of course, the reasoning behind that, but... He needs open area maps because of KSC. I guess that's true. And of course, Torn Crater is kind of a very good map for KSC. It's a brawler unit that can barrage over hills. I suppose that is probably worth considering a ban. You know, Orb, I really considered picking Gaussian territories for game 4. And I thought that AGame was going to pick KT for me, because he really likes that map. So I was actually assuming that he was going to do that one instead. Here comes the first assault ship. You can see me pulling up the line. Power 1's already on the way, though. ARs are on the field. So this is just a little bit too late, I suppose. Who's shooting who? Oh, yeah, that, right. I had a really good scout here that told me when AS Tech finished, and I was actually a bit surprised to see it be late like that, but I didn't think he had messed up the build. I thought it just took a bit longer to get out than I was expecting. Which apparently is wrong here. So fleet capacity 45 going to come out before ref mode. That's basically a must. But AGame's going to go for his own refinery mode tech right now. That is true. Gaussian carrier definitely the weakest at defending in the early game, but I feel still pretty confident here, and I think that we ended up trading pretty much equally off of that skimmer engage there. This assault ship as well, kind of a bit overstaying his welcome here. It's going to tank a bunch of shots from the AR. And then I see the skims leave too, so I'm thinking like, you know, I could actually kill this this assault ship, and that would be quite nice for me. The only problem is, AGame is actually very early on his ref mode tech here, as well as interceptor fab, so I do have some catching up to do if I can't get any counterattack in, which... I mean, you can't really against, you know, the threat of air. It's possible I could do a quick drop here, grab 2 PC, and then move up for like a rail rush, but it seems really risky. I'd rather play this straight. And so ref mode starts for me at this timing. I'm going to be about 50 seconds behind my opponent. But he also has no units on the field, so I'm pretty safe from attacks. The only thing that could hurt me now is air, but I'm aware of it. And I will just save up the RUs to get missile ship fab. Correct to counterattack now. Well, the problem is I can't see air tech, of course, but... Well, the reason is because when we counterattack just with the ARs, we're going to die to air, so we actually have to full commit by building a second PC. Yeah, I can see a building, but the tech wasn't even finished yet. And you're doing pretty decent at holding me off of you're doing pretty decent at holding me off of scouts too. So I was instead pretty content to just get missile ship fab really early here. So that's the timing on missile ship fab there, and obviously if you have missile ship fab starting right about when interceptor fab finishes, he might get a bit of damage on you, but not much. So I feel pretty fine about that too. You are right though, what you said earlier, which is that Con of Siege is going to be a big deal in this matchup. And I see the interceptors out there too with the sand skimmers. That's really good scouting for me as well. You can see me just pulling back to the PC. I don't want to lose anybody in some silly way. And my no, A-Game's second PC is coming out before mine. This is a mistake actually. This is a window that I could be building 2 PC right now, so that's definitely what I want to be doing. I think the splits are pretty decent from me. This PC kind of chips away at this interceptor as well. So the Ints will get 1 salvager kill, but I believe I'm able to react pretty much just flying off the back of that. Missile ship is on the way too, so this is going to be out by the time they come in for like a second pass. So I actually felt pretty confident about the way that I held off this attack, but I'm seeing now that one thing I really should have done is gotten a second PC building here, because I'm sort of damaging myself. If I look at the board state right now, with A-Game having 2 PCs out and I only have 1, I agree, he's very ahead in this position. Whereas if I had 2 PCs already instead, I feel like I would actually be okay. The damage from the interceptors would have been a lot lower because I could defend the main with the PC, and obviously missile ships were on time as well. And what should really be on the back of my mind is Con of Siege, but I wasn't thinking about it at all here. So I was thinking, okay, it's time to counterattack. And, you know, it's me, so I'm going to go for a 2-base play for some reason. Even though it makes no sense at all here, so... I'm planning on actually unlocking this carrier and moving out into the midfield. I don't know why I was thinking that this would work, because I'm definitely not ahead here. And later on, I think I'm going to be a bit surprised that some skims are like able to kill ARs because he has a lot of them. I really shouldn't be, because him being on 3-base here is like more than expectable. I feel like my my game sense bit of my brain was just like off today. So here comes the second PC, and I'm going to move out this carrier. Well, right now you've got rating for sure, which is definitely going to help. Well, he doesn't have any upgrades right now. He's getting damage. He has rating, I guess, but A-Game is going to be checking out over here. He sees no 3-base. He's going to be like, oh, we're very ahead. But, you know, he knows what to expect if you see this, is probably that your opponent is going for some kind of aggro. Either that or he's a total noob, but possibly both are true right now. Power 2 teching for me, base runner is out too. So this is pretty standard you know, 2-base power play moves here, but what I'm not expecting, of course, is that A-Game has got tons of skims here. Armor 1 is done, damage 1 is done, rating is done, obviously, in that case. And he gets a pretty good engage here because of the position of the dunes. I think I get a pretty decent missile barrage, but these ARs are going to be overrun. I don't know why the Ints are being committed in here, though, because that just seems like kind of free food for my missile ship here. And in fact, I think I'm going to kill all of them. Yeah, there's no Ints left on the field, but Con of Siege is out too. And Skimmer Damage 2 is going to be teched at the same time, and I have a bit of a Skimmer ball here, but it's definitely not, you know, not big enough. I actually also had it committed over here because I had seen some skims back there. You thought this attack was going to be way bigger. Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying, like, you should expect, actually. So that makes sense to me now. After all, like, let's imagine the PC could have been out a lot earlier, like I mentioned before, so this Galzian carrier could actually be here right now. Instead, he went through the midfield, but he also, like, was way late. Yeah, Strikecraft takes 3 shots to kill. And yes, you're right, it's still 2-base, because obviously if you go for a 2-base play and you get the legs taken out from under you like this is the reason why these are very risky, because how am I going to get up onto 3-base now? This is going to be very, very bad. Oh, it's 2 shots for Strike Fighters. Huh, I didn't know that. You learn something new every day, eh? And I actually thought after like in the post game when I was talking with AGame that like this KSC was a big deal for me, but like I'm seeing now this was not exactly very compelling even before that. How exactly I'm gonna deal with this, I don't know. Of course, I'm gonna have to like pull the AR back. But the thing is, like, this is just gonna take the momentum out of the 2-base attack again. So this is pretty bad. Everybody's favorite unit, making itself known across the field now. Of course, I had seen it already, that's why I was pulling back. Skims get chunked as well, by the way. I was thinking that he was not going to be here because he was over there. But obviously this is a very good split push, and because he's got rating, he can obviously just run me over too. There's no chance to run away. The Assault Rail Blob also had to be committed down to this side to try and deal with this KSC, and at this point the game is really, I don't know, it's not in a good state, that's for sure. This base fronter, in fact, also going to be denied too. And at this point, you kind of get that feeling that nothing has really gone right for me. I don't know how long I'm going to stick it. I think for actually quite a while, but you can definitely tell that this game is not going, you know, this game is not going the way we had planned, so there's probably no point in sticking around here. I think, in fact, we'll fast forward it just a little bit. Because, like, is there potential for some huge outplay? Yeah, but it's quite unlikely. Pretty good barrage too, but he can't push in because I do have the missile ships ready to hold that choke point. And the AR actually do manage to damage the siege cruiser quite a bit. But he's got like 2 more coming over on the side. In fact, look at this. I'm actually committing my carrier in here. Again, this reflects a very bad understanding of game state, because if I'm doing this, like, I clearly believe he doesn't have anything to defend, but like, what am I seeing over here that should tell me he's completely committed to this flank? I know he's on 3-base. So the possibility of running into heavy rails and stuff here is very, very big. And I think probably at this point is when I choose to just surrender, because I realize that there's no option to attack across the map, but like that's why I probably should have just surrendered back when the carrier was here. Because, you know, this should have happened. This is like, AGame would have to be pretty noob to not, you know, prepare for the carrier flank. And he takes game 2 as well. Sorry to be a bit anticlimactic, but it's hard when I already know how the games are going to go. But game 3 here, going to be on Canyon Outpost. Definitely a map that, like I've said, we don't see very often. It's pretty rare. It's pretty rare to see Canyon Outpost being played at all, even in the group stages when there's no bans. I think the things that you have to remember about Canyon Outpost, first and foremost, are that carriers can't move through that middle ground. And that opens up for a lot of really interesting flanks if people ever try to do power pushes. And I'm kind of starting to think maybe this makes some sense as a pick because of that, because he knows that I like to do these sort of carrier move-out plays. I have ever since like JC3 or whatever. Figured I'd just double dip on the same AS spread. Okay, yeah. That's the other thing about Canyon Outpost. Kind of similar to Torn Crater, although less so, I would say. It's very difficult to defend, especially against assault ships. They've got a really, really nice hill right here, just behind the second base, and in order to flank this, you have to get into range as you move across the edge of the map, so. Which, actually, I'm thinking perhaps that a way to fix Canyon Outpost might be to expand the field just a little bit out on this direction. But, I don't know. Because I think that's, like, the big issue, right? Is that, like, you can't flank the assault ship on this hill without getting into range of it. So you really need to have, like, pretty overwhelming numbers to beat it there. But I don't know. I was kind of feeling okay about this game, though. Because the last game, I know that I messed up by going for this, like, power play. off of 2 base. I know that that didn't work for me at all. But I do know that I held off pretty nicely, actually, against his attack. And so I'm thinking to myself, and by the way, this build also, again, from A-Game is a little bit suboptimal, which is definitely going to help me. So I'm thinking to myself, you know, if I can do that again, I could actually win this game if I just choose to play it a bit more standard and go up on the 3 base. And obviously, the carrier is going to stop assault ships here. You know, I can easily move out and kill them. Well, you'll just have to Sea Strike. But that was definitely my idea coming into this. So I was thinking, you know, I could have won Game 1 and Game 2, possibly, if I just go up onto 3 base. Let's just play it like that. Don't do anything funky. Because the funk is not my ally. That's what we've learned. Quick Draw comes in here for Rail Fab at 28-22. That's a very good timing. Possibly... No, that's definitely the maximum timing, because that's what the BR retire as well, so... Can't get much faster than that. And A-Game's going to push out here. Assault Ship Fab, of course, will finish faster, because it costs less RUs, but I'm only about 25 seconds out with rails, so I felt pretty confident with the defense here. In fact, so confident that I built an extra salve to LDM here, and I think this was actually a big mistake. Probably best you just hold that off until you're actually ready to, you know, expand. Instead, I ought to have been thinking about maybe just getting more skims. Because right now I'm actually outnumbered by my opponent on skims, which is not what you want if you're going to be doing... that's not what you want if you're going to be doing the railgun side of this build here. I was happy with this, though. I managed to sort of bait him into the power 1 in weapons with none in range, which is nice for me. Because he knows I don't have power 1. He saw that. And he did choose to run in there. So he loses, I think, 2 skims, maybe even 3. And that's... No, it looks like 2. 2 to 1. So that's really good for me. And I have my assault rails out as well. So I'm kind of ready for the defense here. Second one is going to be building 2. And I'm questioning whether I even need power 1. I'd really rather go up to ref mode. But what I'm not thinking about is this hill. This hill is so hard to weed out assault ships from. So ref mode's going to be really difficult to push here because obviously if he's back on that hill, I mean, I'm not going to be able to push him out possibly until the carrier gets unlocked. Which, you know, that does also take ref mode, but I do choose to cancel it there. Missile Ship Fab starts up for me because I'm expecting more air like last game. And then here I get a little bit aggressive on that push, but it's not a good idea. This is definitely going to lose me some ARs here. This guy tries to dart back up over the hill, but he can't do it. And my ARs are targeting skims here as well, which actually is kind of nice because that's damage that I can get, but it's also kind of unnice because maybe we could have killed one of these assault ships here. But as it stands, 3 of them hiding behind this hill. Self-regen is very, very slow, but I'm not going to be able to push on this. Ref mode starts, though, for me. Missile Ship Fab is done. But I'm still thinking, like, how am I going to push him off this base? I know his PC is still here, and that's good for me. Of course, you can see that if you notice that his units have extra speed, but this certainly isn't good. Another AR gets picked off on that hill. And so I decide, you know what, ref mode is a dream. This is not going to happen this game. So I cancel it, I get power 1 instead. And I'm on defense mode here because I know that actually he maybe could just push in and kill the eco here. And obviously if that happens, it's going to be game. So I decided, you know what, no ref mode then. We are going to go for a 2 PC push instead. Second PC on the queue now. And now I'm kind of regretting teching Missile Ship Fab because obviously 2 PC is pretty immune to missile ships, or to interceptors it is, but... Yeah, I could have, but I know that I'm going to be behind on eco. And so I didn't want to do that. I wanted to instead go for a bit more of a risky play, but one that would perhaps get me up onto... like, just give me a win, because maybe I can push him off of his main. And if that happens, it doesn't really matter that he's 2 base and I'm 1. Because we have the same CU... we have the same CU count in that case. By the way, another AR gets picked off there, which is really good for A-Game. But I should get a kill here at least. Maybe even 2? Oh, it's 39 HP, but it looks like it is going to get away. But yes, A-Game beginning to tech up to ref mode, so he's about 35 seconds off on that. But this PC is in range and I have rail fab already, so I think, you know, if I can save up some RUs for a heavy rail, maybe there's something we can do here. And I'll just leave this one guy back here for defense. 1 assault rail and a carrier with power 1, I feel like that's good enough against 4 assault ships. And if I keep enough pressure on him on this side, he's not really going to want to commit any more into that. Although you do see he kept one assault chip at home, that's really quite wise. Just kind of making sure he doesn't, you know, get killed in some kind of funny way. And sure enough, Interceptor Fab is on the queue for a game. It's about 40 seconds out. But it's not going to be very effective against him. And you know what, Shrike, I'm actually going to agree with you now. I realize that I could maybe have gotten up onto 2 base quicker here, but I didn't think so in game. And so I kind of decided that I needed to go for this definitely more risky play, but I felt like I needed it. But A-Game's starting to realize that there's actually threats on his carrier here. He saw some pings there, so power goes into the missiles now. Does he cancel Interceptor Fab, though? That's the real question, because this is a tech that's really not going to help him here. He doesn't know about the second PC, though. Maybe he does, but... Economy is for the weak. Yeah, exactly. Be like Phoenix. Yeah, he does cancel Interceptor Fab, so it looks like he noticed that PC, so he knows that Interceptors are not going to be effective here. But this is actually a bit of a tough spot, because he hasn't worked on building a skim blob. And so I actually have an advantage in that field. Really good cruise missile here, though. Oh, you didn't notice the PC. Oh, okay. I figured you would have only canceled Interceptor Fab if you saw it, but... At any rate, Railtech is definitely the right choice for him. Power 1 also the right choice here, because now he's going to be able to defend off the Power 1 with the carrier, and he's going to have the missile ships, or the missile system, like for the cruise missiles, to just constantly poke. As for the sarcasm from Shrike, I'm actually not so sure, because the thing about assault chips is that oh, by the way, dunked me with these cruise missiles, and that's exactly when I see the assault chips. I was really sweating here. But the thing about assault chips is that these are really good hills, and so it's possible actually that A-Game, if he can push me off once, these assault chips that he already has are actually going to be really, really tasty for him. Because they're going to stop me from ever getting a foot back into this this rush here. And as a result, I felt I really had to commit onto that assault chip, so you can see I take that one out. But I also felt like I really had to commit onto these ones too. I've got Skimmer Armor 1s, this isn't going to hurt so bad. I managed to pull this guy off, which greatly reduces the damage that I take. And then I believe that I'm going to kill this AS as well. If I wasn't wearing a headset, I'd do like a head slam here, because that was pretty trash. I leave it on 42 HP. Oh my gosh. But anyway, you can see the Skimmer Blob really got chunked there. And it's good for me, it's very, very good for me that A-Game didn't realize what was going on here, like, earlier. Because if he had, I'm sure he would have had another PC by now, and he could out-skim me, but... Because obviously I have to trade a lot of skimmers to get that kind of damage in. But he did make a mistake there. I've got more skims than he does, so I'm able to kind of take the edge in this skimmer fight anyway. And this AS here, of course, is going to be dunked on by these skims, because he is at low HP. So the rush is still on. That was very close to a successful execute on like the hold basically against the rush, but just not quite there. AR here are trading really nicely for me, so it's good that I've got these guys in town. But I don't want to overbuild on them because I know that I need heavy rails to get like damage output on this carrier from afar, and also I know that my opponent probably is going to tech rails in response to this, which in fact he has done. I'm checking his resources though. He's got a huge RU float, so I feel like he really needs to be getting more rails here. And there we go. We finally see assault rails coming out now. That's a little bit late for him. Of course, it's worth noting that if he gets onto 2 base and he holds this third with LDMs, he actually does have more mining than me. Or no, he wouldn't be doing LDM. He has 2 PCs out. Because I'm, of course, on 1 base with no LDM. There's a bit of a nuance there, Shrike. You get to know these things really well if you do rail rushes enough, but it turns out that you can actually, oh, I don't even, oh, ooh. Oh, hey, it's good for me for once. Yes, let's look at the units lost tab, guys. You can build, you can sustain 2 PC skimmer production off of 1 base with no LDM, but you need LDM RUs in order to make rails really efficiently, and you need LDM RUs and CUs in order to do both efficiently. And if you have LDMs, you can also sustain 3 PC skimmer production. So, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. If I have no LDMs here, it's really, really important that I don't lose the rails. It basically just makes it a bit more risky. And in fact, that's what I'm thinking at this timing. So I say, you know what, I'm done with this stupid AS. I'm gonna move out and weed him out with these assault ships here. And we're gonna try to deal with this rush just using only the heavy rails. I know he doesn't have any yet himself. So if I can kill off ARs, I'm gonna be really happy here. But this one gets away on 15 HP. I'm doing a really bad job of finishing kills here. This is quite bad. Of course, that's the thing about Galzian. If you don't finish kills, they're gonna come back to haunt you because they'll just get back up to full HP. Pretty good cruise missile shot here. It's just a little bit off though. And this Conniff carrier is getting really low, so all of a sudden this is looking very doable for me. And this skimmer blob is huge at this point. I've got 20 of them. My opponent's only got, like, 10, I think? He's got 12, it looks like. And I'm starting to tech up higher than him too, so I have rating on the way as well. Oh, so that's what happened. Apparently I can't shoot him. Oh, that's horrible. I was wondering, because I noticed that this guy didn't actually die in this game, even though he got 3v1, but apparently that's the reasoning. You can definitely tell where my attention was during that fight, but I take a really good skimmer engage here. And I'll just buy a little bit of time for my units to heal up here, but I'm feeling very, very good about the push now. Excellent cruise missile dodge, if I do say so myself, as well. This AS is still alive. So I'm like vet 3 right now. I mean, the value off of that one assault ship has just been insane. Because really, it is very important for Galzian to get the LDMs here. But he's held me off of that for a long time. But this carrier just unable to fight back, and I think it's because A-Game hasn't built any heavy rails to deal with me here. I'm going to dive in on the assaults now. Although that's the thing, you can understand why he didn't build any heavy rails. He had to deal with these assault railguns too. And the railguns there are going to get the kill. And that is going to be the first game for me in the series, bringing it to 2-1. Very important win right there. Obviously, I was up against the wall. That's the thing about best of fives, I still am. And we're going to have to go for a counter sweep here if we want to win this series. And the next map is going to be on the Boneyard. Oh my gosh, Shrike, you need to stop being so polarized about certain units just being better than others. Because the AS there very nearly won him that game. And the only reason why he lost is because he didn't realize to transition off fast enough. If he had had 2 production cruisers when I came up on the push, there's no way I would have survived there. Because, you know, he would have been able to match the skim blob, and I had to throw a lot of skims to weed out his assault ships, or else he was just going to defend forever. So, assault ships definitely did not lose A-Game that game. But game 4 coming out here, going to be on the Boneyard. This one was my pick. Ah, I see what you mean. I see what you mean. I don't know though, like if the assault ships can get damage in, I feel like there's so much more easy to get early kills than the AR are. The thing that maybe we want to consider after this though is that the reason that AR haven't been able to receive nerfs in certain respects is because of this matchup, because otherwise it's just assault ships all day, every day. I mean, maybe that's, you know, maybe that's an option for perhaps changing things. Maybe it turns out that assault railguns don't need that much of an advantage. Well, the map is going to be the Boneyard. Now, there's 2 spawns on this map, of course, as with most. And I would have preferred to get this one because it's very good for the attack. But I also was okay with getting this spawn because it's pretty good for defending against assault ships, but what I wasn't expecting was that A-Game was just going to go for rails himself instead, and I really should have seen this because obviously he's got the good spawn for it. Skimmer's coming out for me now. Obviously you want to be able to match skim production with your opponent, but you can see I'm a little bit lazy about that, just a little bit of idle time on that PC. But I did get skim fab faster than my opponent apparently, so I'm sort of ahead here in some ways. What goes wrong with my build this game? I don't really know. I think maybe I save up for rails a little bit early. But you will find I end up with like bad skim numbers. That's what A-Game is talking about here. Because right now we're 3 for 3 and I have like the build advantage. But yeah, look at this. Idle time on this PC is gonna kind of get me killed here. And so now we're 4 for 4. So if I had been a little bit more focused on just making sure I get enough skims, I would definitely have been okay here. I think the reason I was being a bit lackadaisical about it is because I was thinking that like he was going to do assault ships for some reason. Obviously the skims aren't terribly useful against that. And he has his rail timing faster than me too, which is, you That one I don't actually understand, because we obviously mine the RUs at the same time. Because, well, I don't have the numbers here. You see it's 6 on 6, but you get yours out faster, and you have the mobility support on the PC if you want it. So I actually didn't feel confident in this fight. But again, I was expecting Assault Chip. So I still actually thought that everything was pretty much okay here. And then I tech power 1 really early too. This is probably a mistake. You have high ground. Yeah, like if I hold here. But it's gonna be difficult. And again, if Assault Chips pop out, I'm gonna die. So, well, not necessarily. Do you remember AGame, that one testing game that we did on Firebase Krill, where you did do Assault Chips, but you just opened the skims instead and just had the tech be a bit late? That's what I was expecting, because it looked a bit like this. Problem for me, though, of course, is that, in fact, there are Assault Rails out for AGame, and somehow his rail timing was faster than mine, too, so he's got them out faster. And, like I said, this is the bad spawn for the defense against railguns. And he's up on the high ground already, so... At this point, I suddenly was like, aw, shoot. I suddenly realized that I was in a really bad place in this game here. But that perhaps it would be possible. So you can see I'm not building any more assault rails. I just want to get heavies as fast as I can. And the hope here now is that I'm going to be able to use the heavy rails to fight off these assaults. And maybe get a foot back into this game. So heavy rail is in production here, but he's already got 3 assault railguns, so this is going to be difficult. This is definitely a bad push, though. I should just wait. Yeah, and that's going to lose me a skimmer. In fact, maybe he could have even chased and killed the assault rail there, too. But it is a little bit risky. That carries powered up, obviously. And then I figured I also would need to have the skimmer advantage, so I believe that I quick drop for a second PC here. I guess not. Otherwise I would have done it already. Yeah. Yeah, see, power 1 was also a mistake here, though, as it turns out. But anyway, yeah, I agree. The big deal here, though, is that, of course, AGame is LDMing, and I'm not. And that means that when AGame finally decides to build his second PC, which actually, in my opinion, is a bit late. I think he should be building his second PC already. He's going to have a really good time, because he's actually going to be able to match and perhaps outmatch skimmer production on the field here. And that's obviously really not what I want. I don't need anything else to go his way in this matchup. So, honestly, if I'm being fair to myself, I think the window is already closed here. I probably should have had to win the game already if I was going to win here, but... you never know, and I decided to stick it out, so... I decided to stick it out. Because, I mean, maybe there's a chance. Maybe he makes a bit of a flop with his assault rails, but... Oh, and this was a huge mistake for me, too, though, because this heavy rail pops out right in the middle of the field, and then because of the guard order, he moves forward, and I was like, oh, no. So that was pretty terrible as well. I really shouldn't have lost a heavy rail like that. Spending just fine on one PC? Well, I don't know. I feel like you can have a lot more, you can have a lot more skims than this. And once you have the skim advantage, I probably would just surrender because I don't think there's anything I can do. Would it be viable to just vacate my base and camp your natural? Maybe. But again, you gotta realize the carrier is really, really slow. Because even with power 1, I only go 35. And so if I move out, like, yeah, I'm not gonna have a good time. And that's true. Shrike is pointing out that actually these ARs can kill this carrier too. So I mean, it's pretty difficult. And if I leave the carrier behind, not only can AR kill it, but he'll just build heavy rails too. But I have won many games from the position that AGame is in right now, so I kind of knew that this was bad for me. And I saw his heavy rails coming out as well. He chunks a bunch of skims too. And so I'm like, okay, there's one way that this game could still go in our favor, and that's maybe if he forgets about range calibration, we get a good trade on his heavy rails. Maybe we're still in, but then we still have to kill these assault rails off anyway, so... It's definitely a bit of a Hail Mary here, but... Well, you know, I'm religious. So we're gonna try for it. Yikes. This rail here definitely overstaying is welcome, but he's not gonna get killed, which is good. And you can see me saving up money now for range calibration. AGame, by the way, should probably be LDMing RUs now instead of CUs, because I don't think he really needs... He doesn't really need the extra CUs. I think he should just be LDMing RUs instead. And possibly, you know, just build more LDMs. That's also an option here. Well, actually, one of your problems is that you're not trading at all, which means that you have to keep getting more fleet capacity upgrades. Which, I know that sounds funny, but, I've found in these rail rush scenarios you actually want to lose units, which seems quite counterintuitive. So I've got 4 heavy rails here. I managed to plink down one of them, but he takes one of mine as well. I get an AR too. No, I don't mean that you just want to lose. You want to be losing units with your opponent as well. You want to be trading. Because what it means is that you never have to get fleet capacity up, right? And because you have the LDM advantage, that allows you to long distance mine RUs, and then you can build way more heavy rails. Trust me, I've worked this all down to a science. Although it's kind of irrelevant if you can get 4 LDMs up here, then you can do whatever you want, but... Yes, I definitely agree with that sentiment. This is not going well. Range calibration is not even close. So I'm thinking maybe, you know, there's a window here, but I don't know what it's really possible to do. Of course, the reason why I stick in so long is that this is a tournament game. Like in testing, I certainly would have surrendered already, but I don't like to GG too early in tournament games, because if there's even like the most remote chance that I come back into this, I like to go for it. I also really wanted that ace match, man, but... Thing is, if I could really count your units a bit more properly here, I would know I don't even have the skipper majority. So, like, the fact that range calibration is going to kill you here is really unlikely. Yeah, I agree. Because as you can see, it was really just bad of me to not be producing skims like that. I should have had the advantage there. It's all that bad karma coming back and you get bad spawn, yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. This is kind of a good trade for me, though, and this is sort of what I was hoping to accomplish with range calibration. I can turn it on again, of course, now. It's like overclocking for HRs. Yeah, I agree. Power 2 on the way for me as well now. But the thing is, I needed a better trade, because I was thinking to myself, it's only a matter of time before AGameAnx it as well. And then there's heavy range calibration coming up for A-Game. And the thing you gotta realize too is that when your army is a lot bigger than your opponent, a bad trade is not even really that bad, because if I have twice as many skims as you and we trade 3 for 2, I'm actually getting ahead, even though you're killing more than I am. So that's also obviously not working to my favor here. And then I'm thinking maybe there's something I can do with like a bit of a swing around, but this skim here was scouting really nicely for A-Game, which is pretty characteristic of him. And I'm not really going to be able to get anything done there. And there's range calibration from A-Game. I believe I see it here, and I realize, yeah, okay, well now that he's got range calibration, there's not really much that I can do. And there you go. That's going to be the game. And that will be the series as well. A-Game takes it 3-1. And I think this is actually the first high-level GVG that we saw in this whole tournament, so it was pretty exciting as well. Well played to the opponent, of course. Can't be too salty about this. He was mega tryharding, but I do think I threw a little bit in Game 2 especially, but probably Game 1 also. 'Tis okay, though. Hope you guys enjoyed it. As to your comment, though, I'll comment on this for a second. If I have like twice as many skims as you, then trading 4-2 is even. So if we trade 3-2 a bunch of times, I'm actually ahead of you, right? Assuming we have the same level of production. Although again, in this case, he has more production too anyway because he's got more CUs. So it is actually true. He's getting ahead if he trades, even like badly. So that's one reason why these are very difficult to deal with if your opponent gets ahead. I think that's all we've got to cast right now. So I'll turn off the recording, I suppose.